And let me tell you about the Higher Self Expo July 2021. It's a 24-hour event with 33 guest speakers who are sharing their wisdom and exploring the connection between science and spirituality. Today's guest is a guest speaker at this event. To register your place and find out more, go to www.higherselfexpo.com. Hey everyone, it's Louisa Munson from Feel Good Astrology, and I'm here today with a slightly shorter Feel Good conversation with Rui Vasques, who is one of the European hosts for the Higher Self Expo, and he's also a presenter. And I invited him to join me because his area of expertise is slightly different to the expertise that a lot of people that are talking about at the Higher Self Expo have. So a lot of people are coming at it from a position of consciousness, and his main focus is around the very practical things that occur and happen to us in our lives. So his interest is in design. He studied design. He was born in Brazil, raised in Coimbra, Portugal, and studied design, and then got a master's in production design. And at some point in his journey has really got more down to a grassroots level. And so he's set up his own business called livewithearth.org. And I'm hoping he's going to tell us a little bit about it. So I'm going to bring him on in just a second. But if you're interested in things like permaculture, you might want to grab a pen and a piece of paper to make a few notes, because there's some really great themes that I'm sure are going to be coming up. So anyway, let's bring him on now. So it's my absolute pleasure to bring on Rui Vasques today. I may not have pronounced his name very well. So how are you? Thank you for being here this morning.
Hello. Good morning, Louisa. I'm good. I'm feeling good. Thank you for the invitation. It's a beautiful morning.
It really is. And we're both actually in the same time zone, in the same country. We're recording this from Portugal. Whereabouts are you based?
I'm in Torres Vedras, where we have our association located.
Excellent. And we'll be talking about that shortly, won't we? I'm a little bit north of you, am I? In Caldas?
Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, we're not that
west of Portugal, both.
Yeah. Yes, and it is beautiful. So the reason I'm interviewing you today is because you're one of the European hosts for the Higher Self Expo, which is taking place in July 2021, so this year. And the title for the Higher Self Expo is Where Science Meets Spirituality. And, you know, in our communications, I found out that the thing that you're really, really passionate about is design, permaculture, community and nature. And so I guess the first thing I'd like to explore is how community, nature and design is impacted by spirituality and also science, and how they all work together. What are your thoughts, first off?
Okay, so yes, this is some of my passions in life, and the topics I've been working in my research as a designer, and it's very curious and transforming how the design discipline or the design science has been awakening all my spirituality part, because it has been searching on how to create or how to design things for a better world, or for a more ecological world, or for different types of circular economy, alternatives on economy, and also social design in the way of organizing groups of people, organizing events. So I'm using design as a tool and as a mindset or design thinking to solve problems of our world today, or to create something in the way that I believe and that I feel that is nice and to be creative.
Excellent. So, and I think that really answers it beautifully, actually, because there is a natural order to things, isn't there? And one of the things that I've noticed with spirituality is when things are simple and they have a good purpose, then things seem to just be clean and work really, really well. So we can have clean thinking and purpose. We can have purpose in our lives. And so I guess through your design principle, you're working on the outside in or inside out. Like, does it come from your deep spirituality that your design work comes, or is it from looking at the community you're impacting and then you're applying your design? I don't know how it kind of works. Is it a bit of both? Sorry, these are very complex questions, aren't they?
Interesting. Yeah, it's a complex question, and it's interesting. I think it started from. It's always both, yes, because it's all the time interacting with this real world, this reality, this material reality, because design is between the process of thinking and making a strategy in the mental field, and with the study of an object or a physical problem, most of the times. Can also be just solving or creating models, strategies, project management. But normally it all the time comes with something physical or materialistic. And everything started in 2011 when I did my master thesis in design. And I was searching all around problems worldwide. What is happening with our planet? What's happening with our societies? Climate change, crisis, human crisis, economic crisis. Which are the problems that we are facing today mostly, and also, and then I start to search about solutions. Which solutions we have to face these problems? So started as an inner search of things that I was finding interesting to solve, and also by my personal interests and like self-discovery. Like, how can I be myself a contribution for this world or to solve these problems? So it started as an inner search on how can I be useful as a designer, and then so more from inside, and then with the research now I'm understanding more from the outside what, after these years doing some projects and creating this Live with Earth organization, now I'm more open to hear and understand what the world is asking, more than what I'm looking to solve or what I want to do in a thesis, or it's not me that I'm now choosing or going after something, but I created something that now is some kind of entity, and now things come over me. So it's the opposite process. So it's like I did an intention, a very big intention of being someone and creating someone to solve problems, which is this organization. And I created something much bigger than me, which is attracting many things. And now it's the opposite. Now the reality is coming to show me what this entity and me, what we have to do.
Yeah. I love how you've described that, because I often find in the work that I do that the sort of psychology of when we're younger in our 20s is very much to put our stamp on the world. It's to mark our place, like putting a flag in the earth. And then as we get towards our later 20s and our early 30s and move on, that seems to switch at some point, where we start to realize you can't do to the earth, but life starts doing to you and starts working with you. And it's like a calling, isn't it? It's really good. And I don't think it can happen without us having that initial quest, as we go into our working lives and as we complete studies and start contemplating our place in the world. So that's kind of natural as well. In fact, it's probably reflected in nature somewhere. I don't know where, but it probably is. So you mentioned circular economy. I know that your livewithearth.org business has also been considering things like eco-tourism and youth projects. How do you work at the moment? Are you running courses and things like that, or offering study? How is it that people can engage with you?
Yes, so we have been learning first with the masters, architects on natural building, and participating in different entrepreneurship events, European youth events. So before I start to do something, I was learning and experimenting, and also searching for feedback in the world about this thesis, about this project, this intention, and this vision that I developed. Now, after some years experimenting and learning, I started to teach natural building courses. So I start doing applying these solutions, and searching and still discovering how to do these kind of solutions, like natural building projects. For example, our last event, we have this building nature brand. We did 2 fire ovens, cob ovens. Now we want to experiment how to do bread and pizza. We made everything with the local materials. So we also have Eco Camp event. It's a summer event for convergence of eco communities and families. And also we are starting to work more with youth projects, European projects such as Erasmus Plus, exchange programs, training courses, and also European Solidarity Corps, which is a volunteering project. So we have a space, it's an abandoned school where I am right now. We are transforming it into our association, and now which is already since 2017. And now lately we are developing an ecotourism project from here to be able to host our projects and to be a circular economy research center, which we will test. Thank you. We can test some technologies like biogas, renewable energies, and apply permaculture design and learn with it, and also with the visitors to learn with this space. So this is basically what have been doing: permaculture courses, natural building courses, events to bring people together, communities together, and also a lot of awareness. We have 4 pillars, which is awareness.
I'm writing this down.
Sorry?
I'm writing this down. So if I look away,
okay. So to represent our vision, we have 4 pillars, and they are based on the 4 elements. Is water for awareness, because we know, and my process started by my consciousness. So being aware that exist problems, I'm able to change and to do something for them. So we are spreading awareness around these problems and solutions. The Earth, it's empowerment. We are developing courses and events to bring the tools and provide skills to people. So we want to create empowerment in youngsters and all kinds of people to build their own structures, to collect their own water, to produce their own food, and to have access to their own resources for more self-sufficiency. The third one is fire. It's convergence. So we are organizing events to bring people together, and then nature make it happen faster. And the last one is air, and is innovation, because I'm still connected to my university, IADE, Universidade Europeia, and now I'm doing my PhD in design. It's a project financed by the Portuguese Science of Technology, Foundation for Science and Technology, and I'm studying natural pigments of the Serra do Socorro and Archeira, this protected area where we are located. There's a national interest. That's why I have this scholarship for researching the potential of using these natural pigments on eco arts and
Mhm.
eco construction and education also. So this is our mission that we are doing in many different areas, but always with the scope of sustainable development
Mhm.
with local actions for global change.
Fantastic. I really love your 4 pillars, Rui. Like
Thank
awareness,
you.
I mean, that ties directly back into if we're considering the Higher Self Expo that you're a host of, awareness or consciousness really ties directly into spirituality, um, and empowerment. I mean, and also science as well. And empowerment is very strong, but convergence is the engagement, isn't it, with the community? So you're
Yeah.
talking about people coming to you to learn and to share, and then of course they go home and take that knowledge with them and create new convergences wherever they go. So it's an idea worth spreading, a bit like the TED Talks, but it's very practical. And then you've got the innovation. I think that's really fantastic. You were talking about the sort of natural building courses. Now, I did quite a lot of research when I was in the UK, in England, trying to, because we really desired to build our own house at one point. And we also ran a cob building course. We hired somebody in to teach a load of us, and we created a really good little cob oven and made pizza, and it was fantastic. They were the best pizzas I had, actually. And it was such a fun thing to do, and very easy. It wasn't labor intensive because we were all just chatting and working with natural materials. It was a joy. But one of the things that we came across again and again in England is that it's very difficult to get planning permission in England to build in any way that is different, to how most houses are built. So, for instance, when people want to have their own eco toilets, there are eyebrows being raised, like the people in the offices are like, I'm not sure about that, because they just imagine that we're spoiling the land. And I know there were people who bought land and put houses on it that later had them taken down by the UK authorities. So within your vision, is there some way of work? Are you working with local government about how natural building can be integrated or seen in a positive way, so people don't have to worry about big septic tanks necessarily? They can use a more natural option, or I don't know. There's a lot of crossovers between a world that feels really imbalanced and the world that we've actually got right now, which isn't very balanced. And that world doesn't always want to include the natural one. It almost fears it, because if the natural world comes up, then the world we're currently living in, many parts of it will be redundant. It loses its purpose. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's totally true. We still live in a world where you can see cities with millions of years, and they are made by earth or by stone. And it's very curious, this story of these 3 pigs. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, the 3
It's
little
always
pigs.
universal. So they
Yeah.
invented the story of 3 pigs that they building their houses.
Mm.
And the first one, they build straw house, and
Mhm.
then it comes the bad wolf and blows, and the house goes in the air.
Yeah.
And the second house is a clay house, but still it comes and it blows, and the house is destroyed by some reason. But then they do it with bricks and
Yeah.
concrete, and they are very strong houses, and they are protected. This is biggest fantasy,
Yeah.
because it's just to promote these modern industries of concrete and bricks and standardized constructions, because it's proved that the natural materials have a lot of benefits,
Mm.
from isolation, from health and
Mm.
breathing,
Yes.
um, textures, touching, so all the humidities. So it have a lot of advantages on doing a house with natural materials.
Yeah.
Many people call it even luxury houses, because this quality is much better.
Yeah.
And in terms of legalities, is the same. So this, at least in Portugal, and I believe many parts of the world, the traditional techniques, they were based on earth, of course, because it's the old materials and what we have to build. We don't have concrete in nature. And all the houses were built with earth, like rammed earth, these boxes where they press, which is called taipa, or tabique, which when you have a structure and then you add both sizes or in the middle the clay mixture, which we call cob,
Yeah.
or adobe, the bricks where you do the bricks and you dry the bricks and then you build with the bricks. So this is just three examples of earth traditional techniques. And in Portugal, you can see many houses made by earth and also by stone. And there are still some companies doing taipa. Taipa is this rammed earth. But the modernity legalities, they are not considering any more earth constructions as stable materials because they are organic, they adapt to the environment and they breathe and they are much better on this way. But they want to consider concrete or other material or steel predictable materials to do big buildings and cities. So now if you want to do a house with earth, you have to justify it in one of the techniques existing or considered by the system or by the government. For example, wood houses, where you can have a wood structure and then build your walls with earth, for example. So you always have to adapt a little bit to what the system has to offer, but it's totally possible to build and also agricultural support houses, temporary houses, and also normal houses with license, but you have to integrate them in an existing typology of building.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing that surprises me is that governments need everything to look very normal, even if you are building something quite extraordinary, that it has to fit the theme. Because actually, in nature, most mammals' homes are circular, aren't they? They build nests, they have burrows in the ground, and circles seem to fit humans better. And in fact, the circle is much stronger as well architecturally, like domes. You know, if there was a strong wind, wouldn't a dome like stand the test of time a bit better than a square that creates resistance?
Completely.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Thank you. That's a really good answer. And it shows your wealth of knowledge on the issue. And as I was listening to you, I was thinking, well, that is actually like the science versus spirituality. You know, where science meets spirituality, which is the theme for the Higher Self Expo. So you've got the kind of spiritual questing for a home that feels natural and breathable, and that really fits the individual living in it. And then you've got the scientific approach of man-made, regular, fits the idea of what the person should want. So one's very personalized and one is very
exactly. Is normally what you want to bring to the world is exactly what you want to bring to yourself.
Yes.
So this is my discovering. I want to live with the earth. I want others to live with the earth, but basically it's my own search to do it. It's all the time a personal challenge and discovery.
Yeah, I think one of the things that attracts me to natural builds, and also having fewer regulations. I mean, I guess regulations are useful as well, but you know, if you know how to build your own home, then you also know how to make changes to your home, because families change and the way we live in our homes changes. You know, as we evolve and grow, and for people to have the freedom to be able to add an extra part to their house or to adapt it, that makes sense to me. And it's much harder to do when there's a very strong framework to make changes, without taking down a wall and then all of a sudden the integral structure like disappears. I kind of like the idea of people being able to grow a bit like how gardens grow or forests. They don't just, trees don't naturally line up, do they? They don't just say, I'm going to drop my acorns in a straight line. It evolves according to the need of the tree itself or what the environment is looking at. Sorry, I'm getting a bit poetic there.
Exactly. Yes, that's a very interesting perspective. More organic and more adaptable, more flexible, not only to the environment or to the movements of the earth, but also to the lifestyles and to the rhythms of the users of the house. That's very interesting.
May I talk to you a bit about death? I know it doesn't seem to be really related, but one of the things I think that has fuels the need for regulation and things being straight is that we have this obsession with avoiding death, and we have this obsession with staying alive as long as possible, and I don't really see that in nature. Nature just doesn't seem to consider death, or death is part of the natural process, but we don't really see it. Does death come into, or the consciousness around cycles, does that come up in the courses and the community work that you do?
Also, of course, we work with the elements, but we also work in the way that they are all the time transforming and appearing and disappearing. So it's all about cycles. Also in agriculture, when you build a house, for example, it's nice to build something that it will last, and unless you have people to take care of it, and not build permanent concrete buildings that they will stay there even if nobody will take care, or even if the responsible is not alive anymore. So we have a lot of abandoned buildings now occupying space and creating empty and dark zones because there was not this conscience. And it's the same with plastic. There are big design mistakes. Nobody thought that it will create such a big problem in the environment. Like, they thought, okay, this is very resistant and it lasts a lifetime, so it's the best material ever, so let's do it. Everything in plastic is the best. And now we are full of plastic and they don't stop producing it. So we never think about the end of something, or the natural die of something, a material, a house, an object. And this is the biggest design mistakes of the last century, honestly, is not to think about the end of the cycles.
Actually, you are right. In terms of the materials that are used, companies definitely aren't thinking about that. And yet, in their design, they are thinking about the ending of things, because they design things to fail after a year, don't they? There are lots of companies out there that...
Yes, it's called the planet obsolescence.
Yes.
And it's one of the main reasons I'm not a regular designer, because my base is industrial design. But if I'm studying and willing to do my best to do things that are not made for efficiency but to fail, it's already wrong from the beginning. So I change my path and trying to do things that really work and that they last and that they can be adaptable to the environment.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that ethic that you have. I'm sure there's going to be people that listen to this that think, wow, I really want to get involved. So if somebody wanted to learn with you, share with you, I'm going to use your 4 pillars here. If they want to expand their awareness, feel really empowered to converge with you, and innovate, how are they best able to reach you? What's the best way?
Okay, so there's our website, and there's also, we have Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel, where you can also see some past experiences and courses, and even learn something just by watching the videos on we building together. So find us in the social networks, website, email, livewithearth.org or livewithearth Gmail. So we want to hear you, we want to engage with you, we want to interact with people and bring together and find solutions.
Yeah, excellent. And your talk on the Higher Self Expo, is that around your work? Are you able to give us the title or a quick little rundown of what you're talking about?
Yes, it's about how design is awakening my spiritual path.
Beautiful.
Through design, how am I discovering myself, and how am I discovering my gifts to the world, or my inner journey on how to live with the earth in a more symbiotic way.
Excellent. That will definitely be one that I watch.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
Do you have one last thought for anyone that's listening today?
I want to thank you and to thank everyone that is hearing us. And I have an inspiring quest. I'm a practitioner of Slackline. I
Oh,
don't know
wow.
if you know.
Yeah.
Slackline
Yeah.
is a line where you walk on it. So I used to say that to achieve my dreams or to achieve your dreams is like walking on a slackline. You need to have a focus, like look to the end of the line. You need to keep breathing and balance and adapting to the difficulties of life, which is the trouble of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to do the small steps, step by step, in the right moment. And with these three ingredients, you can cross over the slack line or achieve dreams in your life, like achieve
Wow.
things.
Amazing advice. Balance, focus, and small steps.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's a
Really
recipe.
good. I think that's an amazing final thought. Well, I absolutely loved this. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure people will want to connect with you and get involved. So, yeah, thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you. It was amazing. Have a beautiful day.
And you too. Oh my goodness, what an amazing chap Rui is. I absolutely love the way he approaches his work. You know, it's ethical, it's kind, and it's also very mindful that our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren aren't going to inherit a mess from our own greed. And we didn't really talk about greed, but if you think about like the ideas of how we've ended up with the lives that we've got, you know, with these regular houses that might break down in certain ways, you know, where you have to get things approved and this, that, and the other. A lot of it speaks of fear underlying it, and you know, fear of the unknown, and fear of actually living and experiencing things, or greed, you know, that you're tied to certain materials in certain ways. I was so shocked, you know, to hear that the Three Little Pigs is almost like a bit of propaganda. And of course, now I totally realize, yes, because there are so many stories and ideas that we have, that we're raised with, that help to condition us into a certain way of being. So yeah, it's an unusual interview I've done today, because usually I'm talking to people who've had spiritual awakenings from their own research, their own will to do that. And to, you know, to hear that, you know, Rui's life and his focus changed through his love of production and design. I think that's really inspiring. So, you know, we can awaken and raise our consciousness in so many different ways. There's no one route. And I think that's probably actually the best thing that I've learned today, is that there is no route for us to uplift ourselves and to share and engage and work with people. You know, it can happen in so many ways. Whatever job we're doing, however we're doing it, there is a way for us to feel lighter, should we want to. So anyway, thank you so much for your love and your time and your consciousness. If you like this, feel free to share it. All of that is appreciated. And like I said, if you want to connect with Rui himself, you can reach him at livewithearth.org. And you can connect with me. It's Louisa at feelgoodastrology.com. Anyway, lots of love to you wherever you are in the world. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this conversation, then why not support today's guest at the Higher Self Expo in July 2021? The Higher Self Expo is a worldwide 24-hour event with 33 guest speakers who are all sharing their wisdom and exploring the connection between science and spirituality. To register your place and find out more, go to www.higherselfexpo.com.